No! Oh my god, please don't go anywhere near me, please. Oh, why is it moving? Ah! No! Oh, it's on the floor! Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I need a wipe. I need a wipe. Oh my god. Oh, please. It's fucking Soichi. I'm telling you. He sent a spider after me because I'm not going to give his book a great review. Okay, I did manage to survive the spider attack from last night. Honestly, so relevant with one of the stories in this too. Soichi, I have met Soichi before, and I think it was 3 stories that I previously read that had Soichi in it, and his family even. There were 2 that were in, I think, Smashed. No, 3 in Smashed. There was the Mystery of the Haunted House, and then the Mystery of the Haunted House Soichi's version, and then Soichi's Beloved Pet. So those are the first 3 encounters I've had with it, and the first 2, yeah, the first 2 were Soichi as an adult. And I'm really glad I kind of read that first, because the end of this volume with the final chapter is just so, like, I'm trying to connect it to the Mystery of the Haunted House stories and what Soichi becomes later on, because I thought like the final story in this was great, and there were a couple in here that I liked, but overall this is not my favorite volume. In fact, I think it's my least favorite volume of Junji Ito so far, because I just don't really love Soichi, which I don't know is controversial or not. I haven't seen any reviews online. I don't know what the general census is on Soichi. He is interesting, don't get me wrong, but I just don't really care a whole lot for a misfit teenager who demands his own way and calls himself Lord. I mean, it can be funny, and honestly, I do appreciate the fact that we have a lighter Junji Ito novel. I mean, I say lighter, it's still got some horrific moments in it, but the humor, you know, it is rather humorous, and I do appreciate that. It's just not my favorite type of horror. And this entire volume is dedicated to Soichi. And yeah, overall, I gave it a 4.70 out of 10. It is the lowest rated volume, and the stories mainly get between a 3 and a 6 out of 10 inside it. And like what I did with Tomie, I just reviewed the entire thing. I don't think I'm going to do that with Soichi, because I do think there was some stories better than others in this. And it is a whole lot shorter than Tomie too. So even though like all of this is connected, yeah, I do want to go it like chapter by chapter like I have been doing with other things. So firstly, we have a happy summer vacation. We have a couple of cousins going to visit Soichi and his family. And Soichi really does not like Makina? I mean, one thing I will say about Soichi is that at times I actually felt a little bit sorry for him. He does seem to be left out a lot, and you know, he does crave attention, but at the same time you can see the other side of that is in he curses people for not inviting him but loves people for not inviting him at the same time, kind of thing. Like, it's very hard to predict Soichi's emotions, which I think is something that is really good to his character. The whole nails thing in his mouth still creeps me out, and you just never know what he's going to do. And it toes the line as well between, is what he does supernatural, paranormal, or is it just pranks? Half the time you see him, like a later story, there are wires and things to pretend there is some kind of phantom or poltergeist. So obviously, like, that is fake. But then there are other times when Soichi does something to curse someone and it comes true. So I love the fact that we toe that line between both of those angles. Like, is it real? Is it fake? I do really enjoy that. And there's not really too much about the first story, honestly. It's really about Soichi trying to get revenge on Makina because he just doesn't like her. I liked the moment when he had the nails in his mouth and Makina slaps him and the nails like protrude out of his face. That is a really terrifying visual, and just for that alone I kind of gave it like a 4.5 out of 10. It is still like the weakest start of a story collection, I think. Usually they start off with like an 8 out of 10 for the first stories in a collection. The second story, A Happy Winter Vacation, I liked the setting of it, and I liked the idea that there was this blizzard that was making things so isolating. I really enjoyed that. We have this girl who ends up running into Soichi, and he points her to the wrong direction, and she falls into a freezing river, leading to her finally being saved and taken to his house. where he just continues to sort of prank her. You think he's taken her blood, but it turns out that he hasn't been. And he does have, like, he is weird. Like, this is the thing. I think this Soichi volume itself is just a bit weird. I don't think it's horrifying. I don't think it's too scary. I think it's entertaining still. Like, it's still entertaining, but it's not really what I read Junji Ito for. The amount that I've read so far now, I've realized what my preference to a Junji Ito story is, and that usually is the focus on the horror aspect of it. And this felt, you know, like in Goosebumps, I do love Goosebumps, but I don't like the prank books, which happen all the time. You think it's scary, but it's actually not. It's just pranks. And this is kind of what this book is. Like, this is my Goosebumps. This would be the worst of the Goosebumps books for me personally. I like the real, scary Goosebumps books. Not the fake outs, not the pranks. I don't care for any of that. But at least Soichi himself is enough of an interesting character that it didn't make me write this off at all. I mean, yes, it's still my least favourite out of all of the things I've read so far, but it's still... I still enjoyed it. But yeah, I gave the second story a 4 out of 10. It was good. I liked the visuals of the blizzard and stuff. And it did seem like Soichi was, you know, taking her blood, even though it did turn out to be just strawberry syrup. I liked the idea behind it. The third story is called Soichi's Happy Diary, and I again give this one a 4 out of 10. It goes back to Makina going back to her cousin's house where Soichi lives, and her brother too. We get that visual again of the nails coming out of his face. And she is, well, she's very apologetic about it. And I like this, like, even though this again turns out to be fake, I like that Soichi is so intent on making her life hell. And I do like his little side bits where he's like, I'm going to curse you, I'm going to curse you. Lord Soichi is going to rule all of the world and things like that. Like, I do really enjoy his thought process a lot of the time. I did feel for Makina. And she ends up coming across his diary, which I thought was so fascinating, especially when she realizes that sometimes Soichi can seemingly predict a terrible event that happens later on. And like, obviously when you're in this kind of situation, you wouldn't expect this young boy to be the one who's able to actually curse someone. You try to rationalize it. And this is the thing, I'm trying to rationalize Soichi myself, and is this supernatural? Is it not? Is my rational thought process winning out over what could potentially be happening in terms of the supernatural? I think being able to read Soichi's diary and the whole straw doll curses that he does really lends into that. And again, like, there are moments when Soichi's just watching his family, and it does make me feel bad for him, even though he does reject them and he isn't the nicest at all. He is a little shit. If he was my little brother, I swear. I mean, my little brother was a little bit like Soichi, I'm not gonna lie. Probably not to this extent, but he did push me in front of a car once. And on another occasion, he was supposed to be a lookout while we were rollerblading, and I went down a hill and he said the course was clear, except when I went down the hill, there was a car coming straight at me, and I had to swerve, hit my head off the ground, had a concussion, and had to stay in a hospital overnight. So maybe my little brother is a little bit like Soichi. Interesting. So maybe one of the reasons why I think this is one of my least favorites is because I can relate to it in a little way. Like, obviously not to this extent. I think any of us who have like an annoying younger sibling can really relate to this. But yeah, the diary one was fine. I like the mosquito with the Soichi face visual. That was good. Then we have Soichi's home visit, and this one was honestly weird. I gave it a 4.5 still, because actually, why did I give it a 4.5? So Soichi's home visit is about a teacher who actually tries with Soichi, tries to get him to focus on his future, and, you know, he notices Soichi's behavior and wants to help him improve. There was a really touching moment in this when Soichi's teacher was talking to, I think it was Makina, about how he used to be a delinquent when he was younger, and all it took was one teacher to notice him and give him attention and help him. That really changed his life around. And Soichi is the kind of person who needs that. He needs the guidance, but I do think maybe Soichi is a little bit too far gone. I think he is a little devil child. So obviously that doesn't really quite work. I did find it so odd that his teacher would come round and be like, I'm going to take you home with me, teach you from home kind of thing. I think that's so weird. And his parents are just like absolutely fine with that. Literally, he's just met the mother. If it's not an inconvenience, I'd like to have Soichi stay with me for a while. If a teacher just came round to, the parents' house and said, I want to have your child stay with me, that's like the oddest thing about this whole story. But I do appreciate the fact that he really tries with Soichi. And it was really interesting to see the deterioration of the teacher. Makina, she read in his diary that he likes this girl in class. And like the teacher gets her to come round and, like, bless Soichi, like he actually does kind of try a little bit. He's like, well, whoops, my hair's all messed up. And then he actually like tries to fix his hair in front of her. Like, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. Like, I couldn't help but feel so much sympathy for him when he's just like rejected by this girl outright in front of him and called weird and all of this. Like, I do feel, it does some messed up shit. He does. And I can't explain half of the things he does rationally. And I still extend sympathy towards him. I normally never come say someone as creepy as you. Like, that's so mean. And you can just say like how crushed he is. And like he really does fall back on his creepy ways when his feelings are really hurt. And his feelings are so delicate and sensitive. So I do feel bad for him. But yeah, there was a creepy ending to this chapter as well, which actually, yeah, definitely 4.5. Like, he's got this like doll, like cloth doll of the teacher made, and the teacher goes up and like he sees it, and Soichi looks really terrifying as well, like really creepy. Like, what in the Damien's going on here? He's got candles on his head, and it's just so dark and weird. And then when the teacher seemingly comes back out, he's got nails in his mouth, just like Soichi. So he's obviously been replaced by that cloth doll thing. So I really thought that part was really good. I don't know why I debated that rating. And then we get to a Teacher of Cloth. I think this is my joint favourite story of the collection. I really like almost like a body snatchers kind of idea behind it, with Soichi replacing some of the teachers, and he tries to replace one of his fellow classmates with these cloth dolls that move so weirdly. Like, they do look really odd. Like, it doesn't look right. It's that uncanny valley thing where from a distance, he looks a little bit fine. But then when you get up close and you see the stitching and the way that he just doesn't line up exactly, it's really off-putting and weird. And it does play into that fear that teachers and students or whoever can be easily replaced with an imposter. And they can cause havoc in your place. And they could mess everything up. Like, that is quite scary. Like, if you can't trust the teacher before you when you don't know it's them or not, that is really, really scary. And I just like the overall pacing of this story too. And it was mainly set at the school, which I thought was a good setting for Soichi, because we never really got to see him in any other location but when he's an adult in the haunted house and then his family home in a lot of these stories. So the setting of the school was really good. He has some people in his class trying to get to the bottom of what's happening with the teachers. Even this teacher who was replaced, she looks even worse than the first one. At least the first teacher looked a little bit believable from a distance. She does not. She does not. Like, this was a rush job. But I liked how they were trying to combat Soichi at his game, like his friends. They go to his house, they go inside his attic. All of that I thought was really good. And it had an ending that wrapped things up quite well. I feel like this really does work as a chapter on its own, which a lot of them kind of do in a way. But I think this one, the most out of this volume, works as a standalone chapter. We have a good ending to it too, because a part of me was wondering, like, are the teachers dead? Like, the ones who are replaced, are they dead? But no, Mr. Yanagida and Miss Soga were both rescued that same day. Miss Soga had collapsed in her apartment, while Mr. Yanagida was found absently sitting by a bonfire in the park. So like, everyone was fine by the end of it. And this is the thing with the Soichi stories. Everyone's usually still fine by the end of it. There's usually some kind of lesson, which I don't mind. It's nice to have a bit of a change from Junji Ito's usual. Again, not exactly my cup of tea, but still pretty good. And so I gave Teacher of Cloth a 6 out of 10. Definitely my joint favourite of the volume. So then we get into Soichi's birthday, and this one again, I do feel quite bad for him. It is Mikina's birthday, and it's also Soichi's birthday. But it honestly seems like the family forgot that. If my parents forgot my birthday, I would be rather devastated. You know, it's like, these parents are not great. They do let Soichi get away with so much. Like, they need to put a firmer handle on this child. Even when his siblings are saying, hey dad, like, you need to do something, he's being awful, it still is allowed to be let away with so much badness. And the parents are just way too lenient. But yeah, Soichi's like on the ceiling and he's looking down. Even the mother's like, yes, actually it is Soichi's birthday. Okay, come down then, Soichi. It can be your party too. Like, I mean, if I was Soichi, I would want to curse everyone in that room. I'm not gonna lie. In this story, I'm kind of on Soichi's side a little bit. I gave this one a 5.5 out of 10 because of that, but also the backstory. Like, there is like an almost like a ghost story kind of element to it too, because we talk about the grandma and how Soichi had a twin brother, but when Soichi was born, it was just him, and the grandma was always making these like false predictions or saying these false omens that seemingly seemed false. And there is like this photograph of the grandma holding something that isn't even there in the photo, and Soichi in his stroller. And the twin brother is apparently called Soji. So Soji and Soichi. And Soji and the grandma just wandered away one day and never came back. She said, I'm going to take Soji for a walk, and then just never appeared again. It's odd because, yeah, it looks like she's holding no one's hand. So you're left with this story that baffles your brain because nobody can see and nobody believes. But then when Mikina is looking for Soichi and he's in the closet, she also finds the grandma on the other side, just sitting there. And she even talks to her too. Even though she disappears, there is a moment, like, for me personally, like, it isn't explained at all. But for me, it seems like the grandma and Soji, the twin brother, they reappear on his birthday every year. I don't know if it's a manifestation of Soichi's imagination. I don't know if it can be because the grandma and Soji do attack Mikina. I can't explain exactly what happens here, but they do disappear after Soichi sees a cake that's left by Mikina saying happy birthday from Mikina. And Soichi's like, I don't know, I feel like you might have a moment of appreciation or thankfulness, potentially, which is huge development, if you ask me, because then the grandma and Soji disappear. So I don't know if maybe Soichi ended up saving her because she left a cake. And even though he's saying, what a terrible cake, disgusting, he's still eating it. And you've got those like sounds that he's enjoying it. It was almost my joint favourite of the whole volume 2. Then we get to Soichi's petty curses. Love this double page spread, by the way. I think it's awesome. So in this one, we are back at school for a lot of it too. Soichi is just like cursing his classmates. He puts a doll in the ground. That is meant to be Kuroda. The actual Kuroda is later found in the ground. He's still alive, but you know, that was one of Soichi's kind of curses. And then he ends up taking it upon himself to curse people for other people. Like, he observes his classmates and he's like, oh, he doesn't really like him, so I'm going to tell him that I'm going to curse him for him. And it seems like he wants payment for it, which is so odd. But yeah, this is when we get to the spider stuff, which last night when I was on the toilet, well, I wasn't exactly attacked by a spider, but it was there and it was moving and it was scary. And I was like, really, right after I've read this? I did manage to escape. I don't know where the spider is now. I literally just finished, washed my hands, closed the bathroom door. I went back in this morning and it was gone. So I don't know where it went, which is, But yeah, we do have like this whole spider part of it too, where he tries to scare his sister, but then at least seems like Soichi's scared of it himself. You know, he looks a little bit terrified and he runs away. So again, we do have those humanizing moments for Soichi, which I think is so prominent through a lot of these stories. And then he does curse one of his other classmates, which is terrifying. There is this huge like spider with massive legs coming over the side of the bathroom stall. One of my worst nightmares. And it does look like it was just a kind of prank because he's just covered in toilet roll. So I don't know what it is. Again, like, is Soichi manipulating people's minds? Like, is it all an illusion? You just don't quite grasp what it is that he's doing. And I did like the ending of it too, because there are these woods near him that is owned by this man who almost tries to kill Soichi. Like, he's got this axe and he throws it at him, and he thinks Soichi is the one who's been ruining his grove or whatever it was he's what did he call it? Cedars, whatever they are. And it was like such a touching moment when his older brother, Soichi's older brother, comes to save him, and he actually manipulates the guy who is about to throw axes at Soichi. Like, he actually manipulates him and is like, hey, I hear setting traps is dangerous and illegal, so there's no way you can go to the police about it. It was a good moment between these brothers, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. The next one is Foliated Room, and I think this is my least favorite of the stories, even though I did quite like the design of the builder who comes. I'll show you. It is scary when someone comes to do work in your house and they weren't ever actually sent there. Like, that is a spine-chilling moment. But this guy, he comes to the house because Soichi's older brother needs to study, and Soichi's causing too much noise that they're going to soundproof his room. And they end up making it a foliated room, which means that the room itself is absolutely tiny. Absolutely tiny. So this turns out to be the room. It is foliated, but like that, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it is just a way for Soichi to terrorize his brother even further by going into the walls and stuff. So there was this like chase through the maze-like foliated room, which I thought was pretty good. I did like that. But that's pretty much all it is. Again, it's just like pulling one big prank on his brother. But we are left with that question of, so who was that man who came to do the soundproofing? Because he wasn't sent there by the person the parents originally asked for. So who was that? So I gave it 3 out of 5 because that was the only thing that I really took from that story. So then we get to Coffin, which was a good story. It follows the life of the family after the death of the grandpa. So we did see the grandpa every now and then in the previous chapters. And it does feel a bit sad that we had a sort of background recurring character pass away. And he made his own coffin before he died. And Soichi asks him to make him a coffin that's like the European coffins, like Dracula and like vampires sleeping in coffins. Like, he wants his grandpa to make him a coffin like that. But the grandpa dies before he can like really finish a coffin for Soichi that Soichi likes. Because Soichi keeps saying, that's bad, like that's not what I want, do it again. And again, like, this is one of his like least likable stories where he does come across as just a self-entitled brat. And the way he cries next to the body too when the grandpa is laid down. I don't think this is a funeral. I think this is prior to the funeral, and he just won't stop crying until he gets his coffin made. And Makina is there again. Like, she is a pretty good recurring character, so I do need to remember how to pronounce her name. But she goes to the basement where she hears banging, and the grandpa, the spirit of the grandpa, is there trying to make this coffin for Soichi. So I love this panel there. It is so... oh, he's supposed to be dead, but he's there trying to make this coffin for Soichi. And it's also a bit heartbreaking to see him try and do that when he should be resting. But again, at the same time, like, is it actually him? That is a bit of a scary visual too. I like that. We end the story, I think, just after the funeral and the cremation. And it's weird because the grandpa is just walking behind a procession. And he is dead. He's saying coffin, coffin, and everyone runs away screaming. And he continues, and everyone's looking at him, so can they say that? So he must be real, right? Soichi, how's it look this time? No good, do it again. Once he gets the okay from Soichi, then he really will die, apparently. The storage room is full of coffins. So, like, he must actually really be there, and everyone else can see him too. Oh, Soichi, just let him freaking rest, you know? Give it a 4.5 out of 10. It was pretty decent. The final story, Rumors. I really enjoyed this one, but mainly so because we had the return of that really scary model from the stories from, was it Shiva? There was a previous story collection with that model who really does get under my skin. And her picture is put on a chalkboard in the school, which creeps everybody out. And Soichi begins rumors that the model is in town, and there is like this mud swamp thing that she bathes in to make herself beautiful. And not just that, but Soichi is actually spreading rumors about himself that are really positive, that he helped an old lady cross the street or he saved someone from dying. And it seems like there is some like great positivity towards Soichi for the very first time. And then his lies are revealed. You know, he isn't related to this famous person who he said he was. And it is just that idea of like spreading those rumors and like anyone can really believe them. But yeah, the model, like she really is like one of my most scariest Junji Ito monsters, I think. Because there's just something about her that's just so unsettling. So I loved seeing her again. I don't know if it ties into the Mystery of the Haunted House stories, because at the very end of those stories, you had that really tall woman appear and she looked a bit like her, right? Is that her older? Like, is it the same person? Is the model like Soichi's future wife? Because wasn't she like, if you leave me again, Soichi, I will kill you? Or something like that? And they have a child together? That's honestly so disturbing. Is that the same person? Like, am I connecting the dots right? Or have I just totally made it up? But yeah, we have this girl who likes one of the guys in her class. And she notices that her classmate, who is also shown interest in him, is getting more beautiful. So she thinks that she's going to this swamp place. So she tries to bathe in it. Soichi's there to take photographs of her. And like she is obviously embarrassed and upset about it all. But then you see something rise from the swamp. And it's her. It's her, the model. She is just lying underneath it and she's huge and she just comes up like a monster from the black depths of hell, you know, and that slow rise, and then she's massive, she's tall, she's even Soichi's like quaking in his boots and she's looking down at him. Say, boy, you there, who gave you permission to take my photo? Which publisher sent you? I'm a professional model, you know. Do you know what happens when you take unauthorized pictures of me? Well, let me tell you. And it looks like she might eat him, kill him. Like, he's met his match in this model. Like, he looks terrified of her. And I love that ending so much. I feel like if we didn't get Soichi in the future with the Mystery of the Haunted House stories, unless I'm totally reading it wrong, it's not actually him, but I do think it is him. Does he end up marrying her? And I mean, he's a little bit too young right now. Like, that's really odd and creepy, especially to start a relationship from that age. Like, so many wrongs, so many no's. So do they end up getting together, conceiving children, well, a child, and force his family to be part of their haunted house thing? I like that ending because it means that we have a potential of where it goes from there. So that was so cool. I really enjoyed that. And I gave that story a 6 out of 10 too. I think, like, other than the whole model stuff, it was an okay story, but then, yeah, the model stuff happened and it elevated it. Joint favorite story out of the volume with the teacher cloth one, or the, yeah, you know the one.